Based on whether they can promote positive interaction with the world, I divide mental models into two categories: positive growth mental models and negative defense mental models. How do these two mental models develop? In psychology, there is a theoretical school called self-determination theory, which has gained the approval of many psychologists. This theory believes that there are three main factors that drive people's self-development: security, autonomy, and competence. Security mainly comes from interpersonal relationships, especially the attachment relationship between us and our mothers. If the attachment relationship with our mother is secure enough, like a ship knowing there is a safe harbor behind it, or a marching team knowing there is sufficient food and support behind it, we will naturally develop curiosity about the world and the instinct to explore it. If a mother gives her child unconditional acceptance and affirmation, the child's instinct to explore the world will also be self-initiated, without considering the evaluation of others or seeking the mother's praise. In this way, the child's autonomy comes out. They will not regard setbacks as a threat of "if I don't do well, my mother will criticize me," but will persist in their goals, work hard to solve problems, and regard limitations and difficulties as interesting challenges. In the process of solving problems, their abilities continue to grow, and their sense of competence develops. Gradually, they discover that they are capable and can cope with these challenges, and thus become confident in themselves. This sense of competence will make them constantly seek new challenges and solve new problems. Their autonomy will be enhanced, and their source of security will shift from their mother to themselves, because they are capable of doing the job, forming a positive cycle. This is a growth mental model. Conversely, if their sense of security is not satisfied, they will fall into another mental model, a defensive mental model. They are unwilling to explore the world or face necessary challenges. The focus of all their actions is to avoid possible harm. They try to reduce their activity space to gain a sense of security. In order to make the world look more controllable, they will be very concerned about the rules in their minds, to the extent that they cannot see the changes that happen in reality. Sometimes they work hard, but it is not spontaneous, but driven by the concept of should in their minds. They care about being praised and accepted by others, so even a little criticism from others will make them extremely anxious. Because they care too much about the evaluation of others, they lose their autonomy. In this way, they fall into another cycle, constantly seeking a sense of security. Defensive thinking is the biggest obstacle to our self-development. In the 11 lectures on mental development, we will discuss the thinking characteristics of defensive mental models and growth mental models, and discuss how to transform from defensive thinking to growth thinking. In the first part of this chapter, you will learn about the three major kings of defensive thinking: rigid thinking, should thinking, and absolutist thinking. Behind these three types of thinking are things they want to defend against. 1. Rigid thinking defends the image of your complete self. The view of ability behind it may be unexpected. 2. Should thinking defends the rules you already have in your mind. These rules are about the world, others, and yourself. You will learn how these rules destroy your autonomy and make you anxious, depressed, and frustrated. 3. Absolutist thinking defends against possible harm. You will learn how people use absolutist thinking to arbitrarily expand the scope of defense, and ultimately make themselves unable to move. Many of the troubles you encounter in daily life, such as fear of failure, reluctance to face challenges, and fear of others' evaluation, have the shadows of these three types of thinking behind them, but you may not know it. This is not surprising because our thinking often operates automatically. You need a pair of external eyes to see them. Our course aims to provide such external eyes. In the second part of this chapter, you will learn about some characteristics of growth thinking and gain some useful thinking tools to help you shift from defensive thinking to growth thinking. I often compare growth thinking to a river. To make a river flow, there are two conditions. One is to have potential energy, which is the tension of action. The other is to have a source of living water, which is to constantly interact with reality. In this section, you will learn how to establish the tension of action, how to turn the tension of action into the driving force of action, how to maintain close contact with reality, and how to develop a thinking style that adapts to reality. Finally, I will use a very special lesson to discuss the dialectics of thinking evolution. We will discuss how mature and resilient thinking evolves. Humans are the only rational animals. From Socrates and the Stoics in ancient Greece, to Buddha, Laozi, Confucianism, and Wang Yangming's mind studies in China, to modern psychology, all emphasize the use of rational power to guide ourselves and live a good life. The growth mental model develops a more flexible way of responding to the world by changing our perspectives on the world, others, and ourselves. It is the light of human wisdom. You can see this kind of rationality and wisdom from anyone who has achieved something. Fortunately, this kind of rationality can be learned and trained. The world is constantly changing, and our experiences are also constantly changing. So we also need to develop a thinking style that can accommodate change. In action, we want to change the world, but in thinking, we want the world to change us. It is not about becoming simpler, but about becoming profound and complex. This is the way of self-development. In the following courses, let me learn this kind of thinking mode that can help us develop ourselves with you.